This is Daniel from Interpol. You're listening to 89 FM, the Radio Rock.
Fala galera, beleza? Eu sou o Wendel Correia e hoje eu vou conversar com Daniel, guitarrista da banda Interpol, que se apresenta aqui no Primavera Sound São Paulo, que acontece nos dias 5 e 6 de novembro no Distrito AMB. O show dele será no sábado, dia 5 de novembro, e você já sabe também que a 89 é a rádio oficial do Primavera Sound São Paulo. Óbvio que eu vou trocar ideia com ele sobre isso, sobre o novo álbum que Interpol lançou em 2022, chamado The Other Side of Make Believe, e mais algumas curiosidades, tudo com exclusividade para 89 a Rádio Rock.
How are you, Daniel? Nice meeting you.
I'm very well. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
I'm good too. I think we've met on Lollapalooza 2015.
All right. It's been a minute then.
And that was a great show. And then you came again on 2019, but then I talked with Paul. You always do great interviews. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks. Very nice. Thanks. Very nice of you to say, and it's very nice to be speaking with you again.
So where are you now? New York?
I'm in New York.
And what can we expect for a show here in Brazil, especially Primavera Sound São Paulo?
I mean, Brazilian audiences are like some of the best audiences in the world, and Interpol fans there are just incredible and beautiful and passionate. And every time we play there, it's so memorable and just and puts smiles literally on my face. So I think we'll play a little bit of everything from all of our records, or as much as we can, a little bit of new songs, some stuff from Bright Lights, Antics, and everything. And I just, whenever you play Brazil, it's something to remember and to appreciate. It's always a very beautiful thing in the moment.
And you have played Brazil, have played Primavera Sound on Europe. What is the difference of this festival particularly?
I mean, Primavera Sound in Barcelona is really a very special festival. It's one of those festivals that I think people all over the world, certainly in Europe, they start making their plans to go to Primavera Sound without even knowing who's playing it, because they know it's going to be a great experience. They're going to have a great time in a beautiful city, and they're going to hear eclectic, diverse music. And I would imagine it'll probably be the same thing in São Paulo. And they really care about what they're doing. They put a lot of thought into which artists to play, and it's always a great atmosphere.
And you guys, since 2010, releasing new album each 4 years. It's like World Cup. When we have World Cup, we have a new Interpol album.
I know,
That's
exactly.
You do on purpose?
I think it just works out that way. We tour quite a bit, and when we tour, it's harder to write. And then you finish touring, and then you go home, and I start writing at home usually, like on a classical guitar with a little bit of space, and you see what's there. And then after some rest, and you touch base with your bandmates, with Sam and Paul, and you see, hey, should we start working on a new record? And then you're really ready for it, and then things start off. It's like we're like, for me, I'm like a little animal. Like I have my cycle. Like I need to rest. I need to write at home, and then we start working on it, and we record it, and then we start traveling the world for a year and a half, and then repeat. So it's kind of just works itself out that way, But it's true. It's every 4 years right now.
And talking about the new album, The Other Side of Make Believe, the process of writing usually starts with you writing chords, especially on the piano, and then sent to the guys. That was different because it was remotely because of lockdown, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Normally, I would start writing at home, but instead of sending demos, we would get together, and then in a rehearsal space, and I would start playing the songs. And then Paul normally would start playing either bass or guitar or vocals, and then we would start adding on from there. But because of lockdown, pandemic, quarantines, we couldn't do that. We were all in 3 different countries, so I had to send my demos to Paul and Sam, and Paul would add on vocals and bass normally, and then it would go to Sam, he'd add on drums. I didn't know how it was going to work, but it became pretty clear that it was working quite well, and that the chemistry that we normally feel in a rehearsal room together, we could feel it even separately in different countries. It was pretty amazing. And so also during a very difficult time, like being locked down and big things and terrible things happening in the world, it gave us something to put all of our emotion into and joy into it, and I'm really proud of the way the record came out. I really love the songs, and I think it's one of our best records. So
that's great. And why the name The Other Side of Make Believe?
It's from a lyric on Passenger, one of the songs on the record. It's I don't, Paul's the one who writes the lyrics, so he'd be the one to answer that one. But I think it was when we were throwing out many title possibilities. When that one came out, it was just one that spoke to the three of us, and we just kind of, and it fit into a lot of the other themes of the world right now and discussions and so forth. And we felt like this one is the right one for this record.
And do you have a favorite track on the album?
I mean, I love Fables. To me, there's something very, it's slow tempo, but there's something very emotional and moving about it. And I'm very, and then also Into the Night, the third song is a little bit weirder and time signature changes, but I love it so much. Really, it's like, I feel like it shows a maturity and an evolution in our songwriting. And Paul and Sam are really incredible on that track. So those two might be my favorites. And then also just playing, like, I don't get to play piano very often on records. So having Tony there was a really fun song to write. And I bought a piano literally the month before the pandemic. And so during lockdown, I put it to good use, because I was like, I couldn't go outside. And, I felt very fortunate that I had a piano to work on. And that's how Tony and the song Something Changed came about.
That is great. We're playing a lot, Tony, on the radio station. And why did you decide to be a single in the opening track of the album?
It's I think sequencing of all of our records has always been very important. I look at our records, whenever you're sequencing a record, I kind of think of it as like there's like a book. You have an intro, you have the early chapter setting it up, you have the middle section, and you have the end sections, and there's an order to it. You don't know what it's going to be until you start putting it together, but there's a story that needs to be told in the right place. And Tony just felt like the right story to begin this the other side of Make Believe. And it also felt like a different kind of message, being that it was coming from with the piano, and also with a lot of energy. So yeah, it just felt like right, and I think we all agreed upon that right away.
And Green Hotel, I was watching an interview say was one of the last songs written for the record, and then that is a video, is a single as well. What means this song for you?
Grand Hotel is I mean, it's a very fun song to play. I didn't think it was, we were writing that until we started recording, and I just didn't think it was going to be ready in time. So it's a beautiful thing the nice thing about making records is sometimes it can be very predictable, and then sometimes it can be very unpredictable. And so sometimes you might be like, oh, this song is going to be the single and blah, blah, blah before you start recording it, and this song won't be on the record. But by the end of making a record, sometimes the roles are reversed. One song that you thought was going to be a single is not on the record anymore, and the song that you didn't think was going to be on the record is now a single. And Grand Hotel kind of fit into that situation, and then that's the beautiful thing about making records. It's alive. It's not, nothing's too clean. Things happen. There's a inspiration, and when we're recording Grand Hotel, Paul came up with a guitar line that's like in the choruses, that's very catchy, and I think that sort of helped put the song in a different sort of trajectory, and now it became a single.
And you also released a documentary for Turn on the Bring Lights, the first album. The documentary is for 2002. How was looking back 20 years ago in the beginning of the band?
It's pretty crazy when you start seeing yourself 20 years ago. You're like, wow, I look like I'm 4 years old. It's insane to think that it's been 20 years. I can still remember making Turn on the Bright Lights, like, not to be cliche, but like it was yesterday. All those memories were so fresh and so exciting, and you never thought you'd be able to make a record, and then here you are making this record, but you put so much into that album and making sure that it was just right, and that you wanted it to be something that you could listen to forever. And I remember that very clearly in my brain, and it's very nice and very incredible. It's just incredible that people can feel so passionately about that album to this day, and I'm really grateful for that.
If you could go back in time to that time, what would you say to your young version of yourself?
I would say that you won't believe this, but in 20 years, you'll be on your album 7, and you will have been to Brazil 5 times. And, because I wouldn't have believed it then. I took so much to have the opportunity to make one record, to get signed, that I just didn't know what was possible. I didn't know if anyone was going to like our music. So it's incredible that 20 years later, you and I are speaking right now, and I'm about to go back to Brazil for a very fortunate. I think it's the fifth time, and I really can't wait. So it's an incredible way to be able to spend your life.
And when did you realize that you were doing something big as a band? I mean, there was a particular day, a moment, a show. When did you realize, oh man, that is happening?
I feel like because we never had like a massive big song, is we just had more of, I think people responded to our albums, that it was more of just seeing that we have a very loyal fan base and people seem to be really passionate about our music, those who are, and consistent. And I just felt like, wow, this is really incredible and rare thing to have in the music world, to be able to do this for 7 records. And it's to me, it's like not really one day as much as just seeing the fact that it's kind of consistent, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't want a massive global song that everyone just wants to hear. I love the fact that people want to hear the albums. It's not I think a lot of Interpol fans are not necessarily there to hear the singles. They're here, they're there to hear songs that might never have been a single, and that's the way I was as a kid too. So I love that.
And what advice would you give to the new bands that is starting now this year?
It's in general, you have to really just be passionate and just really believe in what you're doing. Don't be defeated if things don't come easy. Do it because you love it, not because you're hoping for anything. And for me, that's what kept me moving in the early days of Interpol, when people were not showing much interest in our band and people were not offering for us to make a record. Record labels were not interested in us at all. And it was a very difficult moment. But for me, I was doing it. I love the music we were writing, and I was really I felt very fortunate that I found my bandmates. So I became very comfortable. If no one ever hears anything we're doing, if we never get to make a record, then that's okay, because I'm getting so much joy out of it. And I think things have to start there. You have to start with your own personal passion and satisfaction, and not be reliant on the hope of results and opportunities.
Great. Thanks so much, Daniel. Hope to see you in person again this time. I'm going to be there.
Great. Hope as well. Take care. Thanks for the interview.
Thanks so much. Appreciate our time. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Daniel from Interpol. Hope to see you at Primavera Sound in São Paulo.
89, a Rádio Rock.